I'm Leslie McNulty, and welcome to Divinely Inspired Ideas for Life. Do you have need of peace of mind? Well, we're going to talk about this very important topic on our Life and Spirituality segments today. In the Idea Zone, we will explore developing your most important asset, your dream team. We'll also include a special interview with Dr. Kevin McNulty as we continue our discussion on mentorship. So, let's begin. The Society of International Law in London states that during the last 4,000 years, there have been only 268 years of peace in spite of good peace treaties. In the last 3 centuries, there have been 286 wars on the continent of Europe alone. According to the Global Peace Index, in 2013, $9.8 trillion were spent on containing violence in the earth. This is 75 times the amount of money spent on foreign aid. Yet, with all this money spent on containing violence, we are no closer to a global solution for peace, and war rages on in places such as Iraq, Syria, Congo, Afghanistan, and many other countries. How important is the subject of peace? At the birth of Jesus, the angels said to the shepherds watching their flocks, "Peace on earth, goodwill toward all men." Jesus' first words to his disciples after his resurrection were, "Peace be with you." At the heart of God is the desire to restore peace to humanity. Is it possible to obtain inner peace? Some believe that inner peace is found in the tranquility of meditation or the absence of thought or feeling. William Hazlitt said, "Those who are at war with others are not at peace with themselves." Jesus opened the door to inner peace when he said, "I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart. And the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give, so don't be troubled or afraid." I remember many years ago meeting a young Congolese man brought from his village for prayer. His eyes were wild, his hair filthy and matted, and his clothes were nothing more than rags. The villagers were afraid of him and restrained him, concerned that he would lunge at me. Now, I remember looking into this young man's wild eyes and speaking the simple words of Christ, "Peace be with you." Just as quickly as I said those words, he was gone. The next day, as I made preparations for our evening prayer service, I met a nicely dressed young man along with his mother. She said to me, "This is a miracle. My son has been tormented since childhood, but yesterday, when you spoke words of peace over him, he suddenly became calm. He slept through the night and awoke with a smile. He is normal. He hasn't been that way in years." Perhaps today you are like this young man and your past actions or thoughts haunt you. Ancient scriptures say there is no peace for the wicked. Maybe you know someone who has turned to alcohol or the sleeping pill looking for peace. What is the definition of inner peace? Inner peace or peace of mind refers to a state of being mentally and spiritually at peace. Being at peace is considered by many to be healthy and the opposite of being stressed or anxious. Peace is the foundation of that which is good. The ancient scriptures define peace as being well, happy, healthy, prosperous, restful, safe, whole, secure, quiet, and set at one with God. Peace brings those created in God's image back into harmony with the Creator. J. Donald Walters said, "You will find peace not by trying to escape your problems, but by confronting them courageously. You will find peace not in denial, but in victory." Everyone who believes that Jesus is the Christ is born of God. And this is the victory that has overcome the world. This is true inner peace, and this is our faith. So today, pray this with me. Say, thank you, Jesus, for coming into my heart. Today, I receive the inner peace that only you can bring into my life.
Dr. Leslie will be back in just a moment with an inspiring interview and a special studio guest, her husband, Dr. Kevin McNulty.
This week on our Miracle Echo segment, I am joined again by my husband, Dr. Kevin McNulty, to discuss the topic of mentorship. Kevin, welcome to the program.
Another great day.
Yeah, this is a subject that's really close to our hearts.
Absolutely. I think without it, our lives would not be the way they are now.
And with it, we've been able to foster many young leaders in dozens of nations to discover the identity that God has for them.
Yeah, it really is an empowering principle, a dynamic that everybody who wants to go further needs to understand.
Kevin, you and I were greatly blessed with the unique privilege of standing arm in arm for 16 years, sharing many platforms around the world with one of the world's greatest global voices of good news, Dr. T.L. Osborne. And he indeed was a mentor.
Absolutely. He cared, he looked, he heard, he evaluated, he shared, and he lifted.
He lifted. I like that word, he lifted. Yeah. You know, mentors are meant to provide discipline and accountability. And it has been said that correction exposes character and it lifts. Correction really does lift, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it initially, but it does lift. But today we want to focus on talking about paying any price necessary to follow that mentor. Kevin, what does that mean to us, or what does it even mean to you when we make that statement? Paying any price to follow that mentor, to learn, to grow.
Well, initially I'd say it must have been part of our character, our DNA, or our perspective. But when we were going to associate with him initially, we just wanted to learn how he thought, how he did things. We wanted to comprehend why he was successful. And logically, the only way to do that would be to follow and to go where he is and to see, to observe. And I think that initially that was a real shock to him, because a lot of people have told him over the years, oh yes, I'm going to come, but they never show up. But we felt strongly, because he was coming to the place in the world where we were having impact in Russia and Eurasia, and we wanted to understand what type of impact he wanted to have in that part of the world.
Well, during the time of the Iron Curtain, his books had been distributed across those territories. And so now we were going to have the privilege of taking him into 10 different regional capitals of the ex-Soviet countries and exposing an entirely new generation of people to the principles that you and I have learned from him over all of these years. So in order to do that, we were willing to pay any price to learn not just about the ministry, but to learn exactly how he did the ministry. And I remember when we were in Colombia, and he was there with we were there with a total council of leaders from the city of Medellin. And I remember he kind of stopped in the middle of that meeting. He looked up, he looked at us, and he said, "You've come all the way here to Colombia to learn these things. Well, I'm going to show you. I guess I'm going to teach you."
Yes. Yeah.
And that really began a 16-year journey of development, of growth, of correction, of expansion.
Yes, yes. It was the first seed planted for the future, and us not knowing that that future was going to extend beyond Russia, but every step of the way was another step of growth, change, correction, and ultimate friendship, partnership in changing the world.
So what did paying that price do for us? How did it help us?
Well, it gave us the insight on his methods with human beings, the character of, or the posture of which to take in the type of work that we do. And that became invaluable when you go from city to city and town to town, that you remain consistent.
And what would you say it means to someone who's watching us today? I mean, if you say to the people who are watching us today, pay any price. In athletics, we know what that means, and I think that's the character you were referring to. We were both college athletes, scholarship athletics. They put a high price on our heads, if you will, and put a heavy demand on us to meet those parameters that they had given us.
Well, it means paying the price means to go where you have to go. It could be financial cost, it could be time cost, it could be study cost. In other words, the things that you need to identify where it is you want to go and then decide, I'm going there. It doesn't matter what the cost. And our initial cost was just buying some plane tickets to go where he was at that moment.
Well, from Russia to the United States to Colombia, and that was quite expensive.
Yes. And that was the first seed there. But we saw, over time, we saw great men who also, even in their greatness, were paying a price to get experience in an area where they wanted to go.
So today, we can summarize, what is it to pay a price? It is, 1, attach yourself to someone successful. Be willing to pay any financial cost that is required to learn from them. Be willing to serve them in any way capacity that you can to learn. And be willing to learn and put yourself in that position regardless of the time, the money, or the resources required. You will not be disappointed. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can visit my website for more materials on mentorship and releasing the dream, the inspired idea that you have in your heart today. Bye-bye.
Stay right where you are. Dr. Leslie is coming back with our second Life and Spirituality segment. How do you unlock the dream that's in your heart? Do you have an idea but you don't know where to begin? Discover a great new future in Leslie's powerful 7-step dream sheet. Dr. McNulty's free workbook will help you eliminate the mental clutter and launch your dream. Request your free copy of the Live Your Dream workbook at www.lesliemcnulty.com now.
Are you on a quest for peace? I'm not talking about world peace, as so many speak of these days, but personal inner peace and tranquility. If so, I want you to know you are not alone. Long ago, a man sought the perfect picture of peace. Not finding one that satisfied, he announced a contest to produce this masterpiece. The challenge stirred the imagination of artists everywhere, and paintings arrived from far and wide. Finally, the great day of revelation arrived. The judges uncovered one peaceful scene after another. While the viewers clapped and cheered, the tensions grew, yet 2 pictures still remained veiled. As a judge pulled the cover from one, a hush fell over the crowd. A mirror-smooth lake reflected lacy green birches under the soft blush of the evening sky. Surely this was the winner. The second painting was uncovered and the crowd gasped in surprise. Could this be peace? A tumultuous waterfall cascaded down a rocky precipice. The crowd could almost feel its cold, penetrating spray. Stormy gray clouds threatened to explode with lightning, wind, and rain. A spindly little tree, however, clung to the rocks at the edge of the falls, and one of its branches reached out in front of the torrential waters. And a little bird had built a nest in the elbow of that branch. Content and undisturbed in her stormy surroundings, she rested on her eggs. With her eyes closed and her wings ready to cover her little ones, she manifested pure peace. If a little bird can transcend such turmoil, how do you and I find peace in the crazy world in which we live? The ancient scriptures say, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need, thank Him, and then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. There is a story of Jesus traveling to the other side of the lake with his disciples. A storm raged against the boat, yet Jesus was asleep. His disciples were distraught, a bit miffed that Jesus was asleep with no apparent concern for the danger that they were facing. When they awoke him, he spoke, "Peace, be still." And to everyone's amazement, the storm ceased. You know, I remember one of our Florida hurricanes that blew against our house. The water pounded so hard that it sounded like machine guns blasting against our cement walls. My husband was sound asleep, and I couldn't believe it. I decided to write out my prayer to God because I wanted to sleep too. And as soon as I committed my prayer to God, I climbed back in bed and drifted off to sleep. You see, peace is not resignation, but resiliency. Psychological resilience is defined as an individual's ability to properly adapt to stress and adversity. A scattered mind is, like the Bible says, a wave tossed about by the wind of the sea. Where does life find you today? You may be in the midst of a hurricane or a financial storm. Perhaps you are facing other issues. Remember, peace is not the absence of turmoil. Peace is the rudder of the soul that provides solitude in the midst of turmoil. God promises to keep in perfect peace all who trust in Him, all whose thoughts are fixed on Him. Have you found the source of peace? Mahatma Gandhi said, "A man is but the product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes." The scriptures say, whatever is true, noble, and right, whatever is pure, lovely, and admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things, and the God of peace will be with you. Many centuries ago, the great prophet Elijah stood on the side of a mountain looking for God. A great wind scattered the rocks, a great earthquake shook the mountain, and even a great fire appeared. Yet God's presence was not in any of these. And then came a gentle whisper, and the voice of God spoke. This same God of peace speaks today. So as we close our segment, I want you to say this with me. Say, Jesus, fill my life with your presence. Fill my heart with your peace. Come to me now. I am a peace seeker.
Next up, we will discuss the value of associating with those around us in our Connecting to Others segment.
Who is an evangelist? Or we might even ask, who's qualified to be an evangelist? I think it's a really interesting question. To be an evangelism, it doesn't require, or to do evangelism or be an evangelist, you don't have to have years of significant obedience. Look at this. I love this passage because I think it says it all. In Luke chapter 8, there was a demoniac who was possessed, and it says with a legion of demons. Okay, let's have a little talk here. You might have been possessed with something, but I doubt it was a legion of demons. They say in the day of Christ that a Roman legion was at least 6,000 soldiers. So I would guess their intent in the Bible was to let us know that he had quite a few demons and maybe even 6,000 that were coming out of this one guy. And so he got delivered. The whole community was afraid of this demoniac because he didn't wear any clothes, he couldn't live in a house, and he was living in the tombs. He was living in the rocks. He had a really desperate situation. And when Jesus came on the scene, just like you and I can come on the scene for someone else, when Jesus came on the scene, he was completely set free. And immediately this demoniac, the man from whom the demons had gone out, begged Jesus to go with him. But Jesus sent him away, and he said this in Luke 8 and verse 39, return home and tell how much God has done for you. There you go. There we can lay down the qualification for you to be an evangelist today. Return home and you tell how much
Stay
God
with
has
us.
done
We'll
for
be
you.
right back
Wherever your
with
home
today's
is, your
Idea
home
Zone.
represents the place that you live, but it also represents the routines of your life, and it also represents even the place that you work. So go tell someone how much God has done for you. That's evangelism.
We will be right back with the Idea Zone, where you will discover how to remove your limits and live your dream.
Should any child have to beg for food just to survive? Amidst the massive population of India, you can help feed and educate 12,000 needy children every day. This nourishment and tutoring is a key to a better future for each child and for India. Join our 5 Loaves and 2 Fish project today.
Welcome to the Idea Zone, where inspiration daily energizes you to action. In today's session, I want to discuss the importance of your dream team. I've heard one of my mentors say the following: you can have a 10 dream and a 2 team, and that's a recipe for chaos. I want you to understand that when God gives you a dream, He gives you a partnership to go along with that dream. You can't go it alone. Any dream worth accomplishing requires people in order to accomplish it. But you might say, I never have had good success working with people. In reality, as long as there are people on this earth, you will always have people problems. The real opportunity before you is to learn to lead people and to learn to anticipate those problems. You can't go it alone. Isolation is the enemy of many a dream, and it is the elephant in the room for many a dreamer. You don't need an audience cheering you on, but one friend, one associate can certainly provide ample encouragement when you face life's struggles. You don't need an audience applauding you, but you certainly need a dream team that will support you as you move forward. You might ask, how do I select my dream team? Where do I begin? Dreams often fail because we lack the intelligence necessary to bring them to pass. And this is not an intelligence of the mind that I'm referring to, but it is an intelligence of the heart or the emotions. I recognize that most of my mistakes have stemmed from a lack of emotional maturity or intelligence. The common business term today that managers are including in their portfolio of leadership skills falls within the arena of the emotional quotient. The ability to sense, understand, and effectively apply the power of emotions to facilitate higher productivity. Have you ever heard the phrase, she is having a meltdown, or seen someone become emotionally unglued in a stressful situation? These would be telltale signs of someone whose EQ is lacking. Your social skills are an important part of your EQ. Social skills are your ability to manage relationships and build networks. Empathy is another key component, which is your ability to understand the emotional cues and makeup of other people. These skills are critical in building your dream team and sustaining a lasting environment where everyone learns, grows, and wins. I know from personal experience the importance of attitudes and self-regulation. As a college athlete and team captain, many times my emotions would have to take a back seat for the sake of the team and the game before us. I remember an entire stadium of thousands of people jeering at me as I walked across the basketball floor. My maiden name, Klutz, pronounced Klutz, or Klutz means the clumsy one. The fans in that city were cruel as they began to jeer at me, the klutz. But something rose up in my heart, an emotional cue, a strength, an awareness that demanded that I stand erect, strong, and focused, not only for me, but for the sake of my team. An awareness of who I was and a reality of God within reminded me that all things were possible and allowed me to keep my emotions in check. So, how do you build that dream team? Before considering a new team member, here are a few of the questions I ask. Does the person I'm considering for my team believe in my ability to succeed? Does this potential team member respect me, the vision, and the existing team? Do their skills complement mine? Is this person emotionally responsible for their intents and their actions? Do they have initiative? Do they positively energize me and the team? And do we have fun together when we dream together? As we close out this segment on Live Your Dream, I want to encourage you to get out your Live Your Dream booklet. Even if you haven't, then go to the website and download it. And take the time, begin working through the questions, meditate, reflect, and you will see good things begin to happen in your life. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you here each week on Divinely Inspired Ideas for Life, where one idea from God can change your life forever. Let us hear from you. Tell us how the programs are inspiring your life, and we'd love to pray for you. So connect and let me know what is happening in your life today.
Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for watching this episode of Divinely Inspired Ideas for Life. Hope you received something and hope you've got some inspiration today. I want to encourage you, go to our website, lesliemcnulty.com. You will find so many helpful resources. You can download them for free. They're available at any time. If by any chance you've missed the previous episodes, no worries, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're uploading all those episodes online every week so you can watch them on your free time. Subscribe to that channel. Click that notification button so you can get some notification when we release the new episodes or new messages. My name is Jacob Makartumian. I'm director for McNulty Ministries, and I had a great privilege to travel with Kevin and Leslie around the world, and I've seen thousands and thousands of lives being changed through the simple messages similar to one that you've just heard. I want to encourage you, share this programming with your friends, with your family, with your neighbors, even they are not Christians. Believe me, those messages are relevant for them as well. We've seen lives being changed around the world by listening to the simple message of the gospel. I want to show you Leslie's most recent book, Exploits. Find this book, order it. It's a digital format. You can order it and we'll ship it to you. This book will definitely give you some inspiration to become an exploit for God. You will go beyond your comfort zone and you will become God's tool to change this world.